Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hannah Reads. It's been a while since I've talked about anything fanfiction related, especially since I typically write about it, but I figured that this is a very special exception. Before I actually start reading anything, I'm going to be giving a brief history on the origins of this fanfiction. So, 1985, Chris Van Allsburg of Jumanji fame publishes and illustrates The Polar Express. It's a story about a boy who takes the midnight train going anywhere, and by anywhere I mean the North Pole, and he meets Santa, and all other sorts of shenanigans ensue or something like that. Then in 2004, Robert Zemeckis made the movie version, starring Tom Hanks as pretty much every single character. And then in 2008, 15-year-old me decided to write a semi-self-insert fan fiction called The Return Express. It's about the main kid's daughter, Lucy, time traveling and riding the Polar Express with her much younger father and basically learning the same lesson he did. It's pretty much the movie, except I threw in snarky comments from Lucy. And then October of last year, I started receiving a volley of reviews from an anonymous user called asteroula. I think that's how you say her name. And she began writing her own version of my fan fiction. And it's kind of hard to explain why it's so weird. So hopefully I will be able to. It's something that needs to be witnessed in order to actually understand why it's so just insane. So lucky you guys, I'm going to be reading it for you in a series of videos. Most of these are written in caps. I'm not going to be screaming the entire thing. Also, I do believe that English is not her native language. Bear with me, there are very few punctuation marks, and also there are no quotations. And so let's just get started. Chapter 1, A Cold Snow Winter Day. Asteroula was sitting with her brother, Sheriff Spirit, and her sisters, Jessie and Ham, wondering, how will she get her husband, age 27, to believe? In much thought, she found out that if he hears the bells ringing, that means he'll believe. On that night, while my husband was sleeping, 2 bells fell from the sky and hit my head. I picked both of them up, and after remembering Mom's advice, I ring them twice. Chapter 2. After the rings, 2 female reindeers came, one named Melissa, and the other reached us out of the window and set us down. The husband was fully awoken when he heard all of the bells chiming, and looking shocked. Out of the window he saw a train making its way to our house. Chapter 3. He then looked at me and the girls' toys following the train, with our hooves clopping up on it and our bells chimed in. With the boy toys went inside the Polar, hooves clopping up on it. Oh, whoops, sorry. The Polar. I was sitting in my world. I finally saw 2 blue eyes staring at myself. Out of my dreams, I found it was my husband, Christos, and he was visible, upset because the conductor always put the blame on him. He only wanted to help a little boy jump on the train, and now he was in Tubal because he lost a girl's ticket trying to return it to her. I knew how he felt and softly licked his cheek. Chapter 4. After the accusation of him and seeing a poor girl getting thrown by the conductor as told by Eddie, well, that was the part I needed to charge. But I felt Melissa, my reindeer sister, pull my tail, trying to calm me. We're just looking at the little deer getting a light bulb appeared on my head. As I told, stop it, that's it, I have to stop it. was horrified equally. My husband, who was praying God to make me my hoof, felt the girl's ticket, and I winked my eye to the others, opening the door. But my husband snatched the ticket and went first out of the door, trying to make me sit here. I was getting pretty worried, 'cause he didn't return, and that was the part I had enough. And then I went out. I reached a startling image, my husband hanging from the train and a crazy hobo skiing. I called to him, "Cristo," looked at me, and said, shocked, "Asteroula, I told you to stay in the train." I knew he did made me go sit inside there. But now I just couldn't leave. We're jumping from car roof to car roof, and then after hearing the word jump, my husband did so, but his head still poked out from the pile of coals. I yelled, "Sweetheart," calling him to come too. Said as I looked at the tunnel opening, nearing fast, I screamed, but my voice was lost in the wind. "Asteroula, sweetheart, look out!" As he sank in the coal, I could hear him cry as my head got a bit the tunnel. "Asteroula, no!" Closing my eyes, I was prepared to die by the wall, but then everything went black. I did write a scene in my own fanfiction with Lucy doing all of that, basically. So, yeah, you can, you know, this is her way of writing her own version of my story, only it's, with the hero boy's future wife. I don't know what's going on. Chapter 5. After I had passed out, I looked that I was in an empty passenger seat, like the little boy was. I opened my eyes and saw an African girl wearing pink robe, and that child my husband helped, looking at me anxiously at first, and then happily as I woke up, only to see that my head was bleeding. Oh, and my heart. Was I passed out, and after much time I woke up to see a million herd of caribous locking at us as the conductor angrily yelled, "Caribou crossing!" At that part I heard footsteps beside the train and the sound of grunting as someone tried to climb up the train. A head suddenly came into the view, and my husband climbed up. "Thank the Lord," he said, crawling next to me. But his relieved tone didn't last for long. "What were you thinking? I told you, sweetheart, to stay in the train. I don't know how it happened, but you're alive, my sweetheart, and the baby." "And you should be thankful. It could have been worse." A lot of breathed heavily, then after taking breaths, I looked at him, having the impulse to cry now. I threw my hooves around him and buried my face in his shoulder while the girl looked at him and then back at Billy. I was sobbing a storm. He froze at first, but then he put his own arms around me and held me tightly around himself. "Oh, sweetheart, it's okay," he said consolingly. "It's gonna be," lulled me, tucking me deeply, regretting shouting at me like that, and then he apologizes. So Asteroula is like the reindeer furry future wife of hero boy who is pregnant now? Okay. Chapter 6. Then my husband tried to hold on something after he slipped, and he held one of the engineer's beards, and he wailed in pain, and one of the female caribous, probably the leader, wailed so loud, and the conductor had an idea, pulling the man's beard several times, and at least the road was free, and the train, after much time, the train was going pretty fast. So my husband remarked, "We're going pretty fast." Aren't conductor told the girl to tell the engineer to slow down, but they didn't hurt her because a pipe fell. Girl replied they can't. Conductor said no, "Oh no, I don't like the look of that. Quick, hold the bars." I hold my husband's hand, and he grimaced in pain and then said, placing his own hand, Is everything all right? What are we going to do?" to me, "Shh, my dear asteroula, don't worry. I am here. I will always protect you. I'm sure." Off we had to go through hell with ice-cracking lake, and finally, after hard tipping crossing, we made to the rails. So basically, like, the climax of the movie is just explained away in like 2 sentences. Chapter 7, after going through hell and puberty. After going through hell and puberty, I had to tell to my husband that he was like a father to me. And he was the only friend I comforts, saying how much he knows. We left the know-it-all boy and heard the lonely child singing with the African girl when Christmas comes to town, which made me, I neigh to the others, as I saw Aurora's saying, "Sweetheart, Shannon, Billy, look, Aurora's. That means we're close to the north." Conductor told Ooze that the lights there were north, was just smiling. Billy left, not wanting to look, and my husband, Dad, looked at the conductor with a mix of surprise, and I felt the baby kicking. "Oh, is she pregnant?" And I leap. I passed out, hitting a bit hard my head on the noise. Everyone was startled, and they turned back to see me losing some blood. Oh God. Chapter 8. Then after everything went black, I rubbed my eyes abruptly and woke up dizzily as Eddie said, I knew she would wake up. Luke, she's waking. Husband, Dad, Shannon, Billy, and Eddie look at me, slowly waking, clutching my belly, and then my heart in pain, asking, "Whoa, what had husband, Dad?" Said, "You fainted, sweetheart, from, I think, completely eternal..." What? Conductor told us about the elves gathering at Main Square, and Santa, Father, will give the first kids look excitedly as a parade of elves walk marching gracefully, holding many royal flags, so they might now me and my husband. Chapter 9. Then we had to make a chat and amends to the lonely kid to follow us, but unknowing my husband had stepped on something on accident, and as we opened the door, we saw part of the train missing, and we were falling backwards. Husband told that we could make it, and he tried to find the emergency brake, but it was gone. I could just stare down the ceiling, feeling quite unhappy because we would miss the whole part of the went through a tunnel, saw elves go through present packing stall, and then through Santa's bag. Okay, so what do you guys think so far? It's a pretty wild ride, isn't it? Remember to rate and also comment. I love reading comments. I try to listen to what you guys have to say, so please let me know. Also, follow me on Tumblr, Dude You're a Vegetarian. I love meeting new people. So that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video.